Greetings, this is Brad Townsend, and I'd like to talk about the candidates from the opinion of someone with a scientific worldview that admits his biases. I prefer the religion of Judaism, although I am also kind of contradictory in that I'm an atheist. I like Judaism because of its view of humans as humans and of making the world a better place, of being a righteous, virtuous individual. And I think community and helping one another, having fellowship and friends and families, networks, and I think it's realistic to have a tribal nationalistic view because nations and tribes will probably persist for many generations into the future before people consider themselves world citizens. And so let's just start off with one candidate who I've been giving a lot of thought to, and that is the Republican Ben Carson, a doctor. I agree with his views on science in that while I think the Earth orbiting the Sun being 3.5 billion years old is correct, and that the universe is billions of years old, I prescribe more to the electric universe view of the cosmos versus the standard model. I'm not an expert in either the electric universe or general relativity, quantum mechanics, and I could be wrong, but as we think most of the universe is plasma, I just don't have much confidence in the Big Bang as I would have confidence in the Earth orbiting the Sun. I don't like what he says about Muslims and not having a Muslim president. All the religions, individuals can be on a spectrum where they are raised in that religion. Some would say brainwashed. I wouldn't go that far. Religions evolved in civilizations, and they can be positive, they can be negative. I think a Muslim can be a fine human being and a decent person and respect women as equals, not want to persecute gays, and so in Islam there's a spectrum, and where that individual would be on that spectrum, and their respect for the rule of law and rulings of the Supreme Court, laws passed by the Congress. So I think a Muslim could be a good potential president, and that wouldn't rule them out. I don't actually like 100% any of the candidates as an independent. I have concerns about all of them. The next major candidate and the leading Republican, Donald Trump, has some pluses and minuses. I do think he's highly competent to build such large construction, real estate development projects. Takes many skills and talents, interpersonal skills, knowledge of how to get financing. He obviously is able to be effective and get results, and may be a good manager. His pugilistic, bellicose rhetoric might turn off allies or trying to reach out and have better relationships with nations like Iran that were having um, poor relations with. I personally would like to have normal trade and friendly relations with countries like Iran and Cuba. Um, so he, in his big ego, kind of turns me off. There's other established candidates there like Jeb Bush and um, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio seems to be the sharpest of the bunch. He, as maybe all candidates on both parties, would be heavily influenced by special interests, professional lobbyists that they'd have to deal with through Congress in negotiating any reforms or improvements in their view that they're trying to impose. On the Democratic side, you have Hillary Clinton. I feel she's incompetent. I don't have confidence in her decision making and in her judgment. I'm concerned that she might overcompensate and get us into a war, and that's a big one right there. Bernie Sanders, I respect. He seems to be a virtuous man of integrity, a decent person. I think he's a little too idealistic in that bringing in larger numbers of unskilled individuals into the country would compete with our already struggling working poor and working class, would put a strain on our resources. He doesn't seem to be aware of automation and artificial intelligence is going to put a lot of pressure on the job market for employers to reduce their employment or their amount of workers they need. They'll be able to replace them with automated checkout services in retail. Industry is going through the same transition that agriculture went through as more and more robots are used, and the amount of workers in manufacturing will continue to decline, probably at a steady rate, so that the global population of manufacturing workers will go down, as all that is needed is repair technicians and systems administration operators to watch the robotic carts take materials around, and then robotic arms getting more precise and able to do work that was done by human beings. And as they get manufactured in larger quantities, it'll become even cheaper to have robots than it would be to have $2 or $3 an hour manufacturing laborers in the underdeveloped world or developing world. And when that becomes the case, we'll see a large decline in workers in manufacturing, and service will be the overwhelming employer in all economies around the world, as modern agricultural methods and modern automated manufacturing make those, as far as employment parts of the economy, you might only see 2% in agriculture and 5% or less, even in industrial countries, being in manufacturing. They'll still have engineers and technicians and managers, but they'll require small numbers of people in those organizations compared to what they are today. So bringing in more people into the country that already has over 300 million we should be able to make do. And if we do bring in immigrants, they should be the higher educated ones that are able to assimilate and won't put more financial strain on the welfare state. That's all I have. We're still a long way away. I think this political process, I'm a little bit of a political junkie, and I'm looking forward to see how it all sorts itself out. Um, I'm realistic. I don't think just one vote, or even if I was to pick a candidate and support them um, as an individual, helping give out flyers or making phone calls for them or something, wouldn't necessarily make an impact. But I am a concerned citizen, and I like to follow it. Right now, I haven't picked a candidate, but I am trying to follow all the candidates and learn about them. Thank you very much. Be kind and have a wonderful day.